The next set of controls we're going to discuss is the auto pitch controls. Now this has a very simple envelope generator and combined with a depth control. The math used to create this effect can be CPU intensive, but for the most part it works pretty well with most of the waveforms. It will not work well with 3 saws, as you see here. You hear all that clicking in the background. With 2 saws, it goes away. Auto pitch has an attack, decay, and sustain, and it has a depth control that can go positive or negative. When it's positive, the envelope generator is a positive wave shape. Here is an example. We'll turn the attack up slightly, we'll turn the decay up a little bit, and we will put the sustain right about the middle. And this is what it sounds like. If I lower the attack, it will be much quicker. If I increase the decay, it'll take longer to fall to the sustain level. And the sustain level can be changed while it's playing. As well as the depth control. Let's change it to a -22. Instead of rising up and then coming back down, we're going to have this effect. It went down first and then went up. Let me try a higher note. And again on the positive. So there can be several combinations that you could use. Auto pitch can be used with just about every waveform. Currently it does not work with the sine waveform. Of course, it won't do any good with the noise waveform. It may have issues with the blep square and the blep saw waveforms because we are demanding a lot of CPU power from both the auto pitch control and the blep square or blep saw waveforms. As you heard, that's clicking a lot. Now a way around this is to shut off the filter. And finally, the wave shaper. And again, I'm running this with the filter off. If I were to turn it on, we get clicking again. The hard sync saw and hard sync square changes how we use the auto pitch. At this point, it is not using any of the envelope generator controls. Instead, we use it in conjunction with our oscillator frequency controls. It's safe to say that you can use the filter in conjunction with the auto pitch, but you will be limited to the more simpler wave shapes up to morph saw and 2 saws. But the blep square and blep saw and the wave shaper, those all won't work well with this on here. And the hard sync waveforms don't use the auto pitch envelope generator controls. Instead, it's going to follow the filter's envelope generator controls. Now let's take a look at the pitch control section over here. The vibrato frequency is controlled by this knob here. And here's vibrato with the frequency being changed. Below the frequency knob is the LFO shape selector. Currently it's set at sine. Let's change it to saw up. saw down. Square. Random. And the sine wave is sounding a lot like the triangle. Here's sine again. And triangle. Below the vibrato controls is portamento. Currently, when we go from one note to the next, there is no portamento effect because it's set at 0. We'll turn this up a few, and you get that sliding note effect. Go up quite a bit more, and it takes longer. And to extremes, we can go this far. Which takes an incredibly long time. Most of the time you'll want to be playing this probably right around 5. Before we go over the mod wheel assign section, I would like to first go over the effects section. At default, the digital delay is set to on, and it is a small echo like this. We have 3 controls for the delay section. It's time, feedback, and the wet mix control. Right now the controls are set right around the middle. The time control knob is essentially how long of a sample we're taking to make an echo. When we have it set very short, we have a very short sample. Increasing, we have a little bit longer sample. A little bit more. A lot more. To the point that we can play a couple notes and it repeats. The feedback control will control how much the sampled sound will play back. When we have it set very low, it does not repeat very much. Set it up a little bit higher, repeats a little bit longer. Even more, it seemed to want to keep going. Set it to max. And it just about doesn't stop. The wet control controls the mix of how much effect we are getting into our original signal. If I set this down very low, we have nothing. Turning the wet knob control up a little bit, we start to hear the effect mixed in. Now to set things to extreme, put the time control up, feedback way up, and we can get some pretty good echoes going. Next to those 3 controls is the stereo expand control. Stereo expand is basically taking the same samples that the time knob is controlling, and it's taking that signal and delaying it from the left channel to the right channel. So essentially the left channel will play first, and the right channel will play just slightly delayed compared to the left channel. Turned all the way down, we have no effect. Start to turn this up. We begin to have a stereo effect. A little bit more. More extreme. And if we mess with these controls, increasing time and feedback, we can get a little bit of a stereo ping pong effect. You may want to notice that some of these controls can sound a little bit clicky and poppy when you go and adjust them while the sound is playing. So you may want to take care when you change these knobs while you're playing. To the right of delay is the phaser. Currently the phaser is off, and this is with the phaser on. And here we have a rate control. Below that is a feedback control. And then last we have another mix control. Phaser can also be used in combination with delay. You may want to take note that these two effects can take up more CPU power, particularly the phaser when the delay is already on. So if you start to hear clicking and popping, it's probably because you have too many effects turned on at one time. Sometimes if you're using too much time and feedback control, that could also create some unwanted noise. Below the effects section is the arpeggiator section, and we've previously covered this, but we'll go over it again very quickly. Without the arpeggiator on, when we try to play a chord, we will only hear one note. But when we turn this on, when we hold down a chord, or change the chord while we're playing it, we get all of those different notes dancing around. We can also use this hold button, and we can press one chord down and let go, and it'll continue to play, and then we can press a different chord down, and it'll change to that chord, and so on, like this. We also have a tempo control. Over here on the right is our arpeggiator mode selection control. Currently it is set to bounce, which means it goes up and down. We can select an upwards pattern, a downward pattern, and back to bounce again. To the left here is the note size selection. Currently we're playing eighth notes, and then we'll change to quarter, half, whole, 16th, and 32nd. Here's quarter. In the upper right corner we have a green button called External Sync, and we use this with an external drum machine or sequencer. The external drum machine and sequencer sends a MIDI tempo sync code, and the arpeggiator will trigger based upon that code and the note size that you have selected. Since we do not have an external drum machine or sequencer hooked up, we have external sync shut off. If we were to turn external sync on now without any external drum machine or sequencer that could send us any MIDI tempo code, we would not hear anything. I'm pressing keys down and nothing is happening. As soon as I turn it off, so as soon as I turn it on, it just kind of latches in that last note and stays there. It's waiting to hear for the next MIDI tempo code to come through, and it's not, so it just hangs. If you ever have any problems with not hearing your arpeggiator work, check your external sync to see if it's been turned on. Below that is an Octave Plus button. Octave Plus allows you to play double the notes. It'll play the original note, and then it will play a note that's one octave higher. Here I'm just holding down one note. If I shut it off, we only hear one note. And in order to hear the note play on and off, I have to turn the sustain down and the decay up a little bit. And here's where I play two notes at the same time with Octave Plus off. And here's with it turned on. So that gives you an idea of what the Octave Plus does. The last section of controls we're going to go over is the mod wheel assign selections. These selections assign parameters to the mod wheel. Currently, the mod wheel is assigned the vibrato parameter. So when we press a key and move the mod wheel, we hear the vibrato effect. Now I can change this to something like the filter cutoff. And instead of vibrato, now you are not limited to just one selection. You could also do vibrato with filter cutoff. And you can even put a third control in there if you wish. Let's change the vibrato speed along with the filter cutoff and the vibrato depth control. Or we could shut the filter control off completely. When we set it to nil, that means there is no effect whatsoever. Now I'm going to turn the phaser on. And I'm going to control the phaser speed. Along with the filter cutoff. Now let's try a combination of the filter LFO depth and the filter LFO speed, which would be these two controls over here. And we'll have to have the cutoff turned down quite a bit to hear this effect. Let's try that with the saw up. Saw down. Square. We can also control the tremolo and tremolo speed. remember, we can change the tremolo wave shape over here on the vibrato control. Change it to a square. Another interesting control is the oscillator 1 frequency control, which is the same thing as this blue knob over here. But now we can control it here. So you can see, with a lot of different combinations on the mod wheel, you can create some interesting effects by using just the one control mod wheel. Now you should be able to find your way around to edit sounds on the BP Synth. This video concludes the series for now. Hopefully many of you take the opportunity to build one, play around with it, and comment what you think. If there's enough interest, there could be more videos later on that will explain how the BP Synth was programmed. It takes a lot of time and effort to produce the videos. I wish the current set of videos were of better quality, but I have not had a lot of free time to redo the lower quality videos I did over a year ago when I started this project. Enjoy your BP Synth, and I hope to see you again soon.